The Western Cape Education Department under fire today. Parents in Ceres say they're up in arms over a lack of transport for school children. The first day of school, usually a joyful occasion for parents and for some learners, but it was marred by frustration at Morrisdale Primary School. Parents of learners from the rural areas staged a sit-in at the school on Monday, demanding transport for their children who are forced to walk long distances to and from school every day. It comes from the Provincial Education Department's allocation of a transport budget for rural towns to provide free transport for children living far from schools, but only works in some areas and allegedly not in others. Newzroom Afrika reporter Nasiphi Summer joins us live for more. Nasiphi, good afternoon to you. What problems are children and parents there having?
Well, Stephen, you can imagine rural communities, a number of them being unemployed and seasonal workers, meaning that transportation or paying for transport is a difficult task, as many have to fend and rather struggle to put bread on the table, rather. And today we saw a march by the various parents who are up in arms about the Western Cape Education Transport Policy, which stipulates that those living within a radius of 5 kilometers and beyond are able to make use of the subsidized buses. However, those that are perhaps living 4.5 kilometers away from the school, they obviously do not qualify for this. But I do have some parents that were part of the march and also part of the sit-in that you speak of, Stephen. And I'm joined now by one of the parents. Ma'am, you were saying to us that you have children in grade 3, if I'm correct, and grade 7. And talk to us about some of the consultations that you've had with the Western Cape Education Department since last year.
We've talked to the Western Cape Education Department since last year, and we asked them to reconsider that 5 kilometers radar that they have currently having the policy, because we are currently 4.8 away from home to school, so it's almost 5 kilometers, and it doesn't make sense. And it's far distance for us to walk every day, and still they didn't hear our cries or even think about communicating in the right directions. And my plea is to them, I don't want my child to drop out, because walking 4.8 kilometers every day for 12 months now, it won't work for them. They will soon be dropping out. Tell me they don't want to go to school, and we have to work. So what are we going to do?
I just want to find out, were they using the bus service previously?
Yes, they were using the bus services previously, and they never told us about this 5 kilometers radars policy they are having. They never told us about that. And just one day last year, August, they said that the children must go out of the buses. The parents wanted to know why, and then they told us that the policy and they don't qualify for buses. But it's only the primary children that are not qualifying for buses all over the Witzenberg. It's only the children from the primary schools. But the secondary schools is qualifying for the bus. But the secondary schools is only a few steps away from the primary school. So I don't know how they calculate that distance and why they rectify it.
Stephen, these are parents that are currently waiting for their children to come out of school where they will be walking with their children. We're hearing now that they'll be walking about 4.5 kilometers back home. But I'm going to bring in one parent whose children have to walk. We actually went to the school very much on the outskirts of this community, 12 kilometers, and looking at the GPS, it was estimating about 2 hours and 32 minutes that your children needed to walk from the clinic in Nduli to the school. Talk to us about the challenges that you have, because you qualify or fall within the 5 kilometer radius. You can speak in Afrikaans, sir.
Ilan minuut vanoggend as in die distance waar ek kan my seun en my dogtertjie geloop het, ja, die ver afstand. Nou, dat maak 'n mens ongelukkig om te sien hoe mense kinders wat suffer. En daar is mense wat ons kan help, maar hulle weier om ons te help. Ons was al van laas jaar af al, as ons met die probleem met die bus. En ons verwag dat hulle dit met die saak wat ons mee besig is, met ernstig opneem, dat hulle sien waarmee ons mee besig is. Ons kan nie dat ons kinders high-end stap na 'n skool toe nie. Dat is onregverdig.
You were telling me that last year, on the final day of school, You received a letter. Talk to us about the contents of that letter.
Hulle laas jaar ons 'n briewe gestuur dat ons kinders afgehaal word van die bus. En op elke brief van my kind het gestaan, elke kind met R350 betaal om die bus te klim. Die ander se briefie was ook R350. Ek as 'n enkel ouer, ek het nie elke dag werkie. Hoe waar hulle met ek daai geld betaal per maand? En ek het nie elke dag inkomste nie. Wat is 'n olpy? Ons kan op 'n olpy staat maak. Ons daai kinders met lewe, hy kinders met eet. Ek myself met eet. Ek is nie 'n permanente werker nie. Ek het vandag werk, môre het ek nie werk nie, dan moet ek werk soek. Nou, dis dinge wat die mense hartseer maak om te sien waar die ons moet gaan met ons kinders. En dat is nie lekker so nie.
And then today is the first day of school and you have these challenges. How are you feeling?
Dis 'n hartseer gevoel man. Om die eerste dag jou kind deur so trauma met te sit, dis hartseer. Dis amper so. Hulle gee nie om vir ons kinders nie. So wat met hy kind gebeur, is nie hulle probleem nie. Dis ons ouers probleem, maar dit maak 'n mens ongelukkig en dit maak 'n mens seer. Ewen elke ouer kan dit saam voel. Hoe voel dit om daai twee kindertjies so ver of enige ouer se kind so ver distance moet loop na skool toe en daar is vervoer vir hulle. Dis onregverdig.
Today they are in school, but if you had an opportunity to speak to the department based on the policy, the Western Cape Education Transport Policy, what would you say to them with all the hurdles that you've faced?
Hoe sê jy nou?
If you could speak to the department, what would you say to them?
Ek sal vir hom sê, dieselfde wat ek nou gesê het, sal ek vir hom ook sê, wat die probleem met ons in is, met ons kinders. Want dis gevaarlik om daai kinders te laat loop. Ek meen in die winter ook, die kinders ry nat, hulle raak siek. Ek het nie inkomste nie, nou moet ek nog dogtergeld uitgee, ek moet nog busgeld uitgee. Hoe? Ek gaan nie KBS uitkom nie. Dis onregverdig.
I hear you speak of 300 Rand each, that you was, the contents of that letter said 300 each for each child, which is 600 Rand. Are you even able to afford that? How much are you making, perhaps, if you don't mind sharing with us per month, if you're saying that you even struggle getting work?
Ek kry maar per dag, maximum R250. Ek doen maar 10 werkies per dag. Elke 10 dienste, elke 10 kry ek maar R180, R250. Maar hoeveel waar hulle daai bietjie geld het, met ek daai kinders per maand op 'n vervoer kou? Ek kan nie. Dit is te veel. Dit is vir my as so werker is dit te veel. Ek was nie 'n permanente werker nie.
That is Ronald there, one of the parents frustrated by the situation where their children are not being able to be transported. He's saying that he received a letter last year where his children came back with a letter each stating that he needs to contribute 300 Rand each, or rather 300 Rand per child in order for the children to be transported. And he's saying that he's unable to pay the 600 Rand a month, going as far as saying that he makes between 180 Rand and 250 Rand per day, and is not a permanent employee. And we actually followed him today as he walked to the school, and the distance from where they're coming from to the school is just over 12 kilometers. And as I told you earlier on, Stephen, that as per Google Maps, it was estimating that the walk from home to the school is approximately 2 hours and 32 minutes, and he's calling on the department to urgently intervene in this situation. And he's saying that it is not only the school that is currently behind us, but other schools in the vicinity, and many of the parents are unable to contribute towards the payment. And they are also calling the department to re-look at the policy that comes to, or rather the part that says that they are only able to accommodate children that are living 5 kilometers and 5 kilometers and beyond, because many of the children that are actually falling between the cracks are those that are in primary school.